And action, and welcome everybody. This is PnP Weekly episode 231. It is 8th of January 2024, and we are back from the holiday break.
Woo!
Had a good one?
Totally. Fast one. It was weird. So I was away for 2 weeks. The first week felt like it would go really slow. It would be really cool, like, oh my God, I have all this time off, I'm gonna do this and that. And then before I knew, the week was gone, and the second week was just gone, back to work.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Where did it go?
That's fair. That is fair. I only had some few extra days here and there, which was good, catching up on things and processing like 68 videos and all of that stuff, queuing them up and all of that. So it's actually quite relaxing. It's kind of it's kind of work. It's nice work every now and then when you don't need to think too much. You're basically doing just executing, no creative work. Because you're just
relaxing. Okay, I'll remember that. Whenever I have like 20 million changes to do, I'll give it to you so that you know that you relax. And I will too, yes. Hey, Vesa, can you just please process 20 million PRs because you will relax and I will do.
No, but it's different kind of work than we typically do. That's the whole point. So it's kind of
correct.
Flipping away from it's not comfort zone, but it's flipping away from the typical set of things what we do, and it's actually quite relaxing as well. And then don't need to work too late because nobody else was working, so it was quite nice. So, but now we're back, and we can see all of the evenings getting filled with meetings and all of that stuff, right? So,
yep.
A bit. It depends on how you're working. So.
I mean, the evenings are filled with meetings, but not for me.
Yeah,
there are meetings, fair. Correct.
That is fair. Well, it depends on our roles and depends on our things. And again, in my case, it's a choice of the work, how we do. So and having meetings in the evening means that you can have free time on the daytime, so it's not too bad. It's always how can you work every single day so late? Well, no, I have my free time before. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. Mental mindset. Cool. Anyway, so today we do have an interview queued up as well. Who's our guest today?
Today our guest is Lindsay Shelton. So we're going to talk about her career, her journey.
MVP. No, she's an MVP. No, she's not an MVP yet. I think she got. We'll get back to that one in the interview. So.
We will know afterwards. She is an MVP. She is an
on
MVP.
The Power Platform side, yes.
Business apps MVPs.
Yes, exactly.
Correct, yeah.
Exactly. So excellent. We're gonna have a good discussion with her. We did actually last time we met in Las Vegas in the spring with her and had a long chat on things as well. But let's jump on that interview and let's have a discussion on how she got her MVP. Excellent. Let's get moving. So thank you, Lindsay, for joining us on the PnP Weekly. Let's start with the basics. Who are you and what do you do for a living?
I'm Lindsay Shelton. I am a BizApps MVP since April of 23. So we're coming up on a year, I guess, now. I get to start worrying about renewals soon. So that's great because I needed more anxiety in my life.
I'm sure it's going to be all fine.
Everything's fine. Yes. Everything's fine. And I am an application programmer at the Stowers Institute for Medical Research. It's a nonprofit in the Kansas City area over in the US. And so I basically do everything that my boss asks me to. So some Power Platform, some SharePoint, some Confluence, some Power BI, so, just really I'm a jack of all trades, a master of none, I guess.
Is that work more is it across the spectrum from the low code, no code, low code to pro code, or is it more on the makers, builders, and Power Platform side, or how does it?
It's a lot. Like I've done some SharePoint framework development, but then I've also done Power Platform governance. I basically set up all of our Power Platform governance. And so some of it's what they know that I obviously enjoy Power Platform, specifically Power Automate. It's really my jam. And so I'll look for opportunities to integrate that. But then it's also, hey, we need you to figure out a PowerShell script that will modify these thousands of scientific project sites and update their left navigation in SharePoint.
Yep.
Go. So. Lots of new challenges every day, at the very least, learning about all sorts of things.
Definitely. And that's how you learn new stuff as well, because there's new things. And then if you're keeping open-minded, and it's like, no, I can do that. It's always an option. But if you go to Google or Bing, typically there's an answer for it, right?
That is
Oh, for
really
sure.
so that is really a thing that intrigues me, like, because like there are folks who look at all of this like, oh my god, there are so many options, confusing, 10 ways to do things, and you seem to be like more relaxed about like, yeah, cool, new thing, I get to do this and this and this and this and this and that, and I am, jack of all trades. Like, how do you really experience that, and how do you go about like having that attitude towards it?
Well, there's certainly spirals. Like if you just go on my Twitter, you'll see where I spiral. I think I had a recent post that was a little polarizing, where I just said, I hate PowerShell, hate. And that was in the middle of trying to figure out scripting to change all those left navs on all those sites. And so I'm not, going to pretend like I go into it like Mary Sunshine, like, oh, no, I love challenges every day. Challenges are amazing.
I love challenges.
There's some days
come on, Waldek,
like,
you'll come join us.
Exactly. This is all I love. There's certainly days where I'm like, this is terrible. I hate this. But
not again.
It's not again. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I still have to figure this out. And that's really where the community has kind of stepped in. And so the resolution to that, write the PowerShell script that'll loop through these thousands of sites, was actually, I tweeted about it. I complained about it. I had all these people, PowerShell apologizers, coming in and saying, we love it. No, we love it. And I said, well, can you get it to do this, this, and this? And I had, I can't think of his name now. I'm going to be mad. But one amazing man who just was like, I've got a gin and tonic and some time. I'll script that right now. And he literally scripted the whole thing for me. I was close.
Go pilot if you get gin and tonic.
He's like, why not? I was close, but I certainly was not close to where he was. Yeah. And he popped it in the samples gallery, and he's like, hey, here you go. Test it out. Tested it in dev. It worked perfectly.
Oh my god!
Probably Paul Bullock or somebody else.
I can't think of his. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm not going to.
That's okay. All good. But yeah, isn't the old learning within the internet is that if you go and complain that something isn't working, you will have better results on like 20 people coming and showing you how it actually.
Oh yeah, and also say something that is utterly wrong. Just something
exactly.
Like,
that's going to be like
SPFX.
And I'll show you why, because I'm going to write the script with my gin and tonic that's going to solve your problem, and it's going to do it in 5 minutes. I'm going to go, you're right. PowerShell's awesome when I don't have to write the script.
That's a quote I'm going to take now.
Have you seen the PowerShell shirts that are like powers hell, and it's like written in this metal, like
I haven't. That's an idea right there. Let me see if we can find the reference to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that can be challenging, and especially I think even in PowerShell, the like when every single scripting, the challenge is finding out the right APIs and automations and things to call. It's not that you wouldn't be able to do things quite often. Typically, you're able to make things magic happen, but it's just finding the right commandlets and okay, how do I authenticate and what is this now? So
and I lean pretty heavily these days on ChatGPT to supplement my knowledge, and so that was one of the problems I ran into with the PowerShell situation is the SharePoint commandlet was getting updated a lot more frequently than ChatGPT knew. So then of course I go over to the Bing AI, and it's a little more helpful, but it's still giving outdated information. And so it's not a perfect system, but when you don't come from a pro code background, you just figure it out.
Totally. And I guess also another aspect is like, as you said, like you've got experience, like you did some SPFX, you done a bunch of things. You know the concept, like what a variable is and an array and iterating through elements in array, like that. But then every language has their own way of going about it and figuring out these little things like, oh, just get out of my way. Like I know what I need, just write it down.
And the first thing I have to figure out in any language is how to console log, how to print that error out somewhere.
Yes, definitely.
I think there was a pretty recent meme, was it today when I saw it? There was a basically, this dog is always insulting me, blah, 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 blah. And it was basically dog saying something like, well, you've been 20 years in IT and developer, but you still need to go Google to figure out how to do switch statements, which is like, yeah. Sure. So whatever.
Not doing
So.
switch statements every day.
Memorizing things, honestly. I'm terrible at memorizing things anyway, and so I mean, these tools, it relates back to my background as a teacher, where there were certain people who came to it thinking it's important that everyone has this memorized and they know this, and I came to it with, and I had to evolve, my thinking over time, but I eventually came to it with the aspect of, well, kids are going to have all of these tools available in their in their jobs, in the real world. So what's the point? We need to teach them how to use these tools responsibly versus trying to restrict it and just spending all these times fighting the use of these things.
But that's really interesting point. So I don't know, is that an expression in the US, like open book test?
Yeah, open book tests.
Yeah, exactly that. So was that already a thing, and how do you see that, for example, fit into things like, like you hear about the lead code test for folks who want to apply for a job? Like, how do you see all of that fit?
I think I think the biggest thing that you can give our students that are going forward out into this world, because we don't know what the future is going to look like. When I was teaching, I taught for 10 years. I taught middle school, starting with English and then transitioned into intro to tech, intro to engineering. And the best thing that I could have given them is the ability to Google something, the ability to figure out what's a credible site, what's not a credible site, what, how to skip the ad responses that are just there that you don't, the sponsored responses that are in there. And, educators right now have an even bigger challenge with ChatGPT. One of my best friends is still a teacher at the high school level now. And she cracks me up with some of the things that they do. Like they'll just put random words into their prompts to students to catch them, like see if ChatGPT catches the word spoon that they just threw in the prompt, that, if you're actually responding on your own, you're not going to really notice the word spoon, but ChatGPT is like, well, they mentioned spoon, we've got to include spoon somehow. And then they're not actually reading the responses. That's lazy. That's like, that's the kind of stuff that we are a teacher should be trying to stop and put a limit to. But the ability to, I use ChatGPT in my job all the time, and I'll cite my sources, or I'll rephrase things as needed, or, those same skills are there. It's just stop fighting to pretend that everything's going to be like it was when you were in school, because it's not.
But I guess like there was time in the past where it was all about knowing stuff. Like that was truly the advantage, like knowing things off the bat, right? Because like access to information was scarce, whereas now it's like there's like tons of info. Like finding the right things, as you say, like that is really the advantage. Like knowing what is correct, and also
what is credible source and what is not credible,
and what is the shortest way to do that, because like you can drown in all of it, right?
For sure.
Yes. Is it the same problem when we're trying to find something relevant for solving the technical problem, right? So you never know which links are actually, so which whatever is credible or not. I think in Finland, especially
you've got to skim and see like, oh, is this relevant to my question? Is it not? Keep going. Move along.
And I think it's explicitly on the teaching and the students, especially in Finland. Well, I know Finland, they've been pretty high on the things. They're actually now dropping a bit on the the scale of schooling system, whatever, it doesn't matter. But what they've been trying to focus is really on that, the media knowledge and which basically means credible or not credible source, and understanding how people are trying to influence you, and teaching kids how the world works behind the scenes rather than just the facts, because facts we can get them. Now at the same time, even ChatGPT, you do not know if it's true or false, whatever you're getting back.
Sure. It says right at the bottom, ChatGPT might be wrong sometimes.
Who reads that anyway?
I trust you. I worship you, ChatGPT.
So how did you then transition from a teacher to be an IT in the IT? What was the spark? What caused you the change?
Yeah, so I was getting burnt out. I started as a writing teacher where I was grading hundreds of essays every year at the 8th grade level, and that was just. I mean, I lost my love for reading at that point because I was just doing so much of it for my job every single day, and critical reading, that I just, it took me years to get that ability back to actually sit and enjoy reading a book without picking it apart and thinking like, ooh, what's the score on a rubric and all of that. And I had been developing resources for making a paperless writing classroom. And they, at my district, they said, hey, we have these project lead the way positions open. Would you like to get trained and teach, this at the 6th grade level? And that was, a good, nice new challenge for me for a couple of years. But I was, again, getting burnt out. And I think just education wasn't necessarily where I was meant to be forever. And I was looking for training jobs within companies because I didn't really know what else I could do. So I was looking and applying, but not getting anywhere because it is really hard for a teacher to get out of the field. And then I went to my cousin's future ex-wife's best friend's daughter's adoption party. Wow. And, say yes to the opportunities.
You memorized that, by the way. You clearly have memorized that.
Well, you have to. And there I met Sharon Weaver, who's an MVP and an RD. And she and her husband were just sitting there, and we were just chit-chatting because my cousin's ex-wife wasn't there yet. And so I didn't know anyone there. So we were just chit-chatting. I'm like, yeah, I'm a teacher, but I hate it. And she said, well, I'm a tech consultant and I love it. And I ended up exchanging information with her. I started working for her part-time. And then March 2020, 2 big things happened. COVID hit, and I got offered a job full-time as a consultant with Sharon. So
perfect.
Jet right out of there.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. What a story.
So I only taught for 2 months during the pandemic, but it was it was a rough 2 months.
Probably, yeah, that's probably a good thing. It wasn't the easiest time for teachers, for sure. So definitely not. So, and then with Sharon and with that transition, was that Power Platform or was that completely in that side, or how did you?
That was M365. That was just kind of a generalist. She's more on the apps and services side. Is really the Power Platform. I just got excited about it the more I learned about it. I don't remember an exact moment where I thought, oh, Power Platform is really my wheelhouse. I have enough knowledge to be helpful in the pro code world, but not enough to sit down and write a SharePoint framework web part from scratch. And so I think maybe that's part of why I like Power Automate so much, is that I can use those concepts of variables, the loops and the switch cases and things like that, but I can do it in a level that's much more accessible to me and where my skill level is at.
Yeah, and we need those as well because Power Platform is incredibly powerful. For doing the connections and everything else, and doing that.
Power Platform.
But doing that as a pro code thing would be really hard. So it actually doing something like Power Platform, typically the integrations what you can do with Power Platform, it would be much more resources if you would do something like that with the pro code. So,
sure.
Because Power Platform is so incredibly flexible.
And it just integrates so much more easily with these different things. I worked last week on implementing row level security in a Power BI report. Again, not something that I consider to be my passion or anything, but just what I was asked to figure out. And then I had an existing Power Automate flow that I needed to update and figure out how to work that row level security in. But that would have been so many extra steps and so much more work to integrate had I tried to set that up as something pro code for sure.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
And then there's also this interesting approach, right? Because many folks, the way they look at it is like, well, I am a dev, so I'm going to look at the pro code stuff. Like the low code stuff isn't for me. But on the other hand, I think what people often don't realize is that it's just yet another tool that you've got available in Toolbox.
Yep.
right? And it's like, even for me, I love to code. But if I want to build something for me, like if I have a thing to accomplish, like for example, I've built a flow that every day will purge my deleted emails. I might have done it in code, but why? I can just click
Right.
2 things and it just works on a clock.
Yep.
I don't need to host or deploy. Like I don't, and it works. Like I don't need anything else. It does its job.
Yeah, and I think I learned that in my time as a consultant is just figuring out the right tool for the job. And it's not always going to be your favorite tool, but it's, just there's plenty of tools in the ecosystem. You've just got to mix and match and figure out the right one.
Yep.
No, at what point, and because that wonders me, at what point when you switched from being a teacher and moved over to IT, have you learned the "it depends" answer?
Let's see. I learned that probably when I was a teacher.
Oh, really? Already?
You don't want to commit to anything, especially when you're talking to parents. Hey, what does Timmy need to do to get his grade up from an F? Well, it depends.
That's good.
And here I was thinking that it was an IT only thing. Oh my God.
Oh no. Because Timmy, has a 35%. And is Timmy going to stop goofing off in class long enough to actually complete some of these easy assignments that'll help boost his grade up to a level where now he can retake this test? Or not? It depends.
It depends.
That's good. That is really good.
It's amazing how many of my skills I've been able to generalize to the IT world. I did cybersecurity training. I helped develop it with some people on our team at my current job, and did the training for everyone at the Institute, which is also funny because now people come to me and they'll forward me emails they think are phishing emails still. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Probably report that. Like I just did the training.
Yeah.
But I did this training, and it's a good way to also humanize the audience and get some humor into it, because I'll just say, hey, you've been a great audience, but if whether you all could start throwing things at me and it really wouldn't faze me, because I've had it all. I've seen it all when I've been trying to teach and communicate.
Yeah.
And so, it's a good humor way to work in humor and make people laugh and make it not so painful to go do an hour of cybersecurity training with me.
Yeah. I can.
And especially as a teacher, you get to know a lot of people. You meet the parents. You need to deal with the difficult situation as well. So which helps a lot as a consultant, because guess what? There will be difficult situations.
There's going to be bad news sometimes. Yeah.
Exactly. And you might be the bearer of the notice or whatever, and then you need to be able to communicate clearly still and handle that situation gracefully. So I think all of that, I was actually a substitute teacher when I was younger, and I did a lot of other younger, counseling, like elementary school, all of that stuff, and a lot of other stuff as well. So in a human level rather than just in IT, and that's helped a lot on being a consultant, because again, that makes us more humans and more approachable, and therefore we're able to react on those different kind of people as well. So
yeah, I just really think that companies need to take chances more on people who are career switchers, because it really is. Had I gone to school and gotten a computer science degree, would I probably be a better developer? Absolutely. But I would be missing a lot of the skills that make me and make me a unique contributor to where I work.
Yeah. And we need developers, but we also need the people who are able to communicate. So that's not just,
and also on the other hand, you might say, like, which one is easier to learn?
True.
Right? Because that's tech, loops, and arrays, like you will grok that at some point. And sure, like maybe you won't code, new Windows or new OS. Not everybody needs to. Like there's a bunch of folks who just build, web parts and apps, business apps, and these aren't really that hard, But then being able to, as you said, like deal with people, that's hard. That is genuinely hard, and then they don't.
I
teach
need
it
to deal
at,
with
at
Waldek
CS.
every single day.
Yeah, and that's hard. Like, there you go. Like he's still. Well, I mean, it depends, right? No.
I mean, yeah, he gets mad when you mute him and kick him out of meetings. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
why
difficult.
I've been doing that for so long, and like
You
I
thought
never.
it was your Wi-Fi. It's not.
Ah,
Yeah.
if only, if only I knew it earlier.
Good. Now, as part of then your journey from the IT, you got to be an MVP as well. So, how did that happen? How do you get to be? What would be your tips on anybody who's like, yeah, I'm in the community, this is cool, but I really want to have that MVP status. And then the follow-up question is like, what changed now that you're MVP?
I would say, for me, the easiest way for me to get MVP is what was to work with someone else who's an MVP already, to find a mentor who's able to help walk me through the application process and, you know, understanding what contributions are and categorizing them and helping kind of coach you into that even before you get nominated as an MVP, because it's about really, you mentioned what has changed. And for me, not a ton has really changed. And I don't think a ton should change when you make MVP, because you should be putting out content because you want to help people, not because you want to get renewed as MVP. I mean, yes, that's a side effect. I obviously would love that, but I want to put out content to, you know, when I was doing this row level security stuff, I came across a bug with the new Power Automate designer, and it was so frustrating. And in all of the Google, I didn't know it was a bug at the time. And all of my Googling, I couldn't figure out what this identity blob value that they wanted me to input that was a required value was. And I just thought, I need to write a blog on this, because future me, you know, would have really appreciated or past me would have really appreciated this. Current me already figured out that it's not actually a required field. It's just a bug. But so I'll write things a lot of times, even just for me. And then I hope that other people are going to be in maybe the same niche situation that I've found myself in through my work, and find my blogs to be helpful. And so that's why I do it, is, you know, for future me, for future you, for future everyone.
For everyone. But now you're sharing your knowledge for free for other people to benefit.
Well, listen, I was a middle school teacher for 10 years. I'm used to doing stuff for free.
Ouch.
Too soon. Well, yeah.
But it's I think it is a certain, let's say, a certain mindset. I don't know what it is, but certain people are built in a way that it's helping others is more, you know, inside of the person, and it can't help itself. And it's like it's not about, yeah, I have this precious thing, but guess what? If I don't share this precious thing, nobody will never know that there's a precious thing. That's one consideration as well. And if we help others, then they help us, and everybody succeeds. And it's a much better world. So
well, and if if you're worried about making money from it or finances, then put those blogs on your resume when you're applying for a new job, and then say, look at how much I'm helping other people. And then if you find an employer that values that, then maybe they'll make it rain.
And maybe you should be valuing or looking for an employer who values the MVP.
Absolutely.
And that's time, because otherwise that's like, well, hey, this is part of the deal. So we can see the MVP marker behind of your back. So that's why I'm pointing there. So, but it's, exactly.
Where's yours, Waldek?
It used to be there.
They're all here. They're all here.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. It's still there.
Like a whole stack. A whole stack of them.
I had to print mine out myself.
Oh yeah, because you are not having them anymore. That's true.
I had to print mine.
All
they sent me was this
12 of them still there. So, with the disc, yes.
With the disc, I got the disc at least.
I have only that one. So,
shouldn't you have two? Like 5 years and 10 years?
I have the 10-year.
There you go. I only have this one. Oh yeah, that one too.
Well, I have this one in a different direction, but that's the bigger one because that's 15. So that
you get a special reward for 5 years in addition to
5,
the last one?
10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then they get bigger and bigger. So I can actually, so this is kind of it's hard to understand how
he
big
can
this
exercise.
is.
That's why he is so strong.
Jeez, 1 second. So
You got to work out more, buddy.
it's not small. It does actually weigh a lot.
This is
So
the first time I'm hearing
that's
about
10.
this.
Yeah.
That's 15. So
Now I
and
have
the
something
color
to
coding
aspire to.
actually is aligned as well. So
And then on
blue is
25,
5.
you get with all four, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
Like a
30,
rainbow.
it will start getting really interesting. So
You will get this
I think
rock.
20 is already that you're basically, it has the box which you're bringing, it has wheels. So you can actually easily, because it's the weight. So
I have a bad back. I'm going to need accommodations when I hit 20 years.
yeah.
There will be a truck that will come offload it.
Yes.
I need
Comes
I
with
did
a shelf.
I pretty recently, one of my friends or persons in Europe just resigned from Microsoft after 36 years. So
Wow.
that's
a lifetime.
That's
36.
a long time,
wow.
yeah.
36. So they've seen Windows 1? No, they saw Windows 1 was
88.
before, I guess.
I guess it was 88.
Yeah, wow.
Was MS-DOS a precursor to Windows? That's what I remember playing on when I was 3 or 4. I have a Sesame Street game.
Yeah. So there was DOS, there was Windows 1, Windows 3.0, 3.1.
Yes. So there we go. Cool.
Got letter go round along with the code that you had to type in to get it to run.
Wow.
And it's got the floppy disk along with the things that you put on your
that's a big one.
keyboard.
That's the 5-inch.
That's the 5-inch. That's cool.
The real floppy.
These are the floppy disks.
Yes.
Yes,
the real
exactly.
floppies.
You printed
Oh,
a save icon.
Oh, good time.
I just aged myself is what I just did.
I think I have some save icons somewhere in my. No, it doesn't matter. So you don't need to start. And I know where my Zune is.
Your icons?
Zune is over there as well. So, but anyway, technology.
Technology. Yeah, my dad actually. I was inspired to career change by my dad because we had a family hunting stores that his dad owned, and my dad hated hunting, didn't like it at all. And so he actually in the late 90s, early 2000s went and got books at the library about HTML, CSS, graphic design, and formed his own graphic design company. And then when Dick's Sporting Goods came into town, and then Bass Pro Shops, and then Cabela's and all of the other hunting stores that are shut us out of business, he had a career to pivot to. He had his second job already. So
cool.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And that's how you got involved in computers, right?
Yeah. So there's a picture of me on my dad's lap when I was 3 on our MS-DOS, very boxy computer, on our first computer in our house. Just learning how to type, learning how to.
That's so cool. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Different days, right? Yeah. I recall I learned HTML from a book, and back then we would have at home an Amiga, right? And that didn't have a browser. So the way I would build a website is I would start the emulator of MS-DOS, write it there in text, save it on a floppy, go to a neighbor who had a machine with Windows 95 to be able to see the website that I built.
So if you had one typo, you were just got to go back.
Yeah.
No typos. It just works. It just worked.
I got started on Microsoft Front Page, I think it was called.
Yeah.
I had an Archie comic website in middle school.
Yeah.
Betty's Archie Comic Hangout, I think is what it was called, or something like that. I've tried to find it on the Wayback Machine and have not been successful. I was so sad.
No.
Now, what then? That's a good recap on history. We shouldn't be doing that too much, because then it's like, what? Always on way too long in the history.
I just recently dyed my hair, so I can pass for younger.
Yeah. No cray.
You're blonde. It doesn't show, Vesa.
Yeah.
You're cheating.
Yeah, it's cheating. Not fair.
What now, Lindsay? What's next for you from a career perspective? You're doing the day-to-day thing within your existing company and evolving there, getting new MVP renewed.
That's the goal, is just focus on getting renewed for the first year for MVP, or for my second year, I guess. And I booked my tickets. I'm going to room with Kat Schneider actually at MVP Summit this year.
Cool.
I couldn't go last year because I got announced in April, and MVP Summit was like April 18th.
Yes.
So I'm like, can't really make this one work. But yeah, so this will be my first official one I'm going to. And so really just that, and I've been applying to speak. I've loved the opportunities that I've gotten to speak and travel. And so I've got a couple of call for speakers out there I'm just waiting to hear back from, and just continue to learn. There's so much to learn every day, and I look forward to those opportunities.
Now, before we actually close up, that's actually good. Just a donkey bridge, as we say in Dutch and in Finnish, which is a segue. Now, how do you stay up to date on this? Like you said, there's so many things happening. Any tips, or how do you stay up to date on what is relevant, what's not relevant?
I use Twitter a lot, and I refuse to call it X because that's stupid. I use, it's Twitter, okay? But I use Twitter a lot. I use that to connect to community members and learn from other people, and it helps me to see, what is Microsoft tweeting about, what's Amazon tweeting about, what are these different big tech companies tweeting about, and what are they prioritizing. And then all the time I'm opening tabs open. I have an absurd amount of tabs open, just the things that I've found from my Twitter feed that I'm like, oh, I want to do this learn course. I want to do this. And so that's probably my biggest source. And I also have a really great group of friends that I've made through the community. Like I've got Kat Schneider and Natalie Leanders, who we've got like a Twitter group chat that we're chatting in every day. And there's a MPPC women's only chat that we're in WhatsApp. And so, we'll use that to kind of keep each other apprised of, hey, what's the newest co-pilot that we've got to pay attention to?
Have you seen this? I think that's definitely the core value of MVPs and communities and everything else, is those personal connections, and then getting those groups in place, and then learning from others, because again, other people are finding cool stuff, and then they share that, definitely.
And then sharing out cool stuff when you find it too, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Paying it back.
Exactly. Pass it forward. Pay it back. What's the right term? I always forget about it.
Both.
Pay it forward.
Pay it back, you can pass it forward.
Pay it forward.
To pay it back.
Yeah.
Pay it back, yeah. It's a payback.
I'll be back.
Now, we typically do a quick recap on also what's happening within upcoming, let's say, months or weeks, or within this week. Anything interesting on your table? What are you working on? Just for those people who are like, okay, so Lindsay is an MVP and working on this kind of things. How does the day-to-day work look like? What does that look like?
I just put out a new blog today. I don't know. I guess
That's good. That's good. What was that all about?
The row level security. So I wrote the blog that I needed to find a week ago.
Yeah. I think that's always the easiest way to actually share learnings. And we're just starting just a reference point on that one. We're starting again on internally a bit larger project. But in that project, I was just providing feedback earlier today that, okay, so as the project is coming out, one of the 25% of our resources will have to be put on the fact that we're extracting the relevant information, because that is a core part of sharing others and learning by yourself. Is like, okay, I done this project, I done now this thing. What did I learn? And then write it to yourself within your blog, and then somebody else will benefit out of that.
That's primarily what I use my blog for, is helping. Like when if I've tried to update my resume or something, I'll go back through my blog and try to remind myself what projects have I worked on and what things have I done, because it's so varied, it's so different. There's so many different things that it's easy to forget.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a classic joke, which I told a few times in the show as well. But I still remember I used. Thank you, Waldek. I used to write. I used to have on my personal blog. Unfortunately, MSDN blogs are no longer available. Whatever happened, it's okay. But I remember working in a large project where we had a debate with one other architect, and then the person came to me showing a website and saying, "See this Vesa person within his blog saying," and I'm like, "You do know that I'm that person." And that discussion ended quite quickly. This person here from Microsoft says, it's like, that's me.
If you used to blog when you learn things, since you're no longer blog, does it mean that you're no longer learning new things?
I'm sharing more broadly the learnings, not just within the blog.
I know the day someone quotes my blog to me, I'll just retire. I'll be like, I'm out.
I am that person. Well, and the best part is argue, just stand there and argue. Yeah. And it's like, yep, it's me.
Or what else do you think Lindsay said that was so smart? Yeah. Tell me everything.
Meanwhile, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, but thank you, Lindsay, joining out on the discussion. Really good call to catch up. I think we met last time face to face in Las Vegas.
In PnP maybe.
Yep. No, it was actually Microsoft 365 conference.
Yeah, that one was fun because I didn't actually have a ticket. I just flew to Vegas and hung out.
Why not? That is an option as well. So definitely an option as well.
Yeah.
And this year, but there's the Microsoft 365 conference, but now it's in Orlando. But then MPC, Microsoft Power Platform conference is in Las Vegas again this year as well. So
hopefully
great opportunities
there
both.
again. We'll see.
Yeah. Have you submitted?
MPPC, the call for speakers is not out yet.
Okay. But you are planning to submit?
Yes, definitely.
We'll keep the fingers crossed. So definitely. But all the best, Lindsay. Thank you for joining us. Really cool to have you on the show.
Yes, it's been great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And from here, we'll jump on the weekly articles with Waldek. So let's jump from them. Thank you, Lindsay. And excellent. Thank you, Lindsay, one more time on the discussion. And within the show, it's time to go to the article. Time to go to the articles. Yes.
What do you have for us this time?
Okay, so let's start with a Microsoft articles like typically, and then we're going to flow to the other articles with the community. So first of all, a good recaps again on the Microsoft Teams site on the December 2023 announcements and updates and all of that stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff rolling out. This one, for example, is something that I use quite often internally in internal messaging, which is you're able to create your header section pictures directly using the Microsoft Designer, which is actually pretty cool. Right now it's a bit too limited because it gives you the choice of options, and then none of those options are not necessarily always nice. So it's like, no, give me more. But still, it's actually quite nice.
Work on your prompts.
Work on your prompts and then make sure that you have the right questions and all of that. Now a lot of other stuff as well, loop components, a lot of other capabilities, of course, in Teams. Not that many as in the previous months, but again, still a lot of stuff, even though it was December and a holiday season. So a lot of announcements, of course, across the board. The same also from the SharePoint side. SharePoint monthly is typically not just about the SharePoint, it's also about all of the other related technologies like OneDrive and Viva and all of that stuff. So a lot of announcements here as well, and a new interest zone episode, this time talking about what's rolling out now in SharePoint and related technologies in 2023. So that's kind of the podcast summary. But a lot of new features here related on signatures, SharePoint e-signature, which is something what we announced in Ignite as an example, which is now available, and then a lot of capabilities in Stream, Viva, OneDrive, and all of that stuff. These are really, really great summary blog posts. So thank you for both. I think it was Steve, wasn't it? Was it Steve? Yeah, Stephen and Mark for actually collecting all of these changes. So awesome stuff. Good. From my side, I just updated or shared this one earlier today, which is the most widely used SharePoint ISVs from the stores from December 2023 edition. This is SharePoint Framework ISV, so that includes anybody who's targeting SharePoint frameworks for SharePoint, Viva, or Microsoft Teams, and basically listing the top 10 summary and top 10 ISV providers over there. I have to say this, but I'm not going to go into too much details. What about the AI extensibility story with SPFX? Yep. But more details coming. So not going to go to too much details.
Exciting stuff.
Yes. Now, we also had a blog post on the Viva site related on Get Your Compliance, a copy of the Gartner 2023 Market Guide for Voice of the Employee Solution. That's actually really, really cool. And a lot of interesting Gartner data analytics. And of course, Microsoft Viva is well represented across the stack because it has quite a few modules and it's actually aligning on the employee experiences setup. So a lot of great stuff over there. Now, oh, it's me again. So on the Viva Connection blog, a bit older blog post, not today, but something what we released actually on the mid-December, not the optimal time for releasing anything new, but this is actually in preview, which is an introduction to new advanced API features of Viva Connection Card Designer. So this is actually pretty cool. So without code, so without pro development experience, without Visual Studio, you can actually build Microsoft Graph powered experiences within the Viva Connection. Right now, the experience is a bit not optimized that much, but it's going to get really nice. Well, can I zoom in a bit more efficiently? It will get a nicer designers and look and feel and live previews and all of that, and test buttons for the API calls and all of that. So it's actually pretty cool to make things work. Now, you can barely see that, but that's not a capital P.
Correct. I can see it. Oh my God. Fix it. Data source. SharePoint with a little lowercase p.
Now, with all the honesty, I know that that's a Figma file, so it's basically coming from a Figma, so it's not a.
Doesn't matter. Fix it.
It's not the final experience. So, but yeah, you can technically hit SharePoint APIs or Microsoft Graph APIs without development experience within the Viva Connection cards, and that's actually pretty cool. So,
well, one interesting thing you mentioned the Graph. To access Graph APIs, you need to have access to it. Meaning you have to have access token with the right scopes.
Correct.
How do you, if you use the non-code approach to build these cards, how do you grant access to Graph?
Administrator still has control, and administrator is responsible of granting those APIs, which will be then available within the Viva Connection cards. So it's still.
Then they will have to do it through PowerShell because there is no package for you to install anywhere.
There's no package to be installed. You can do it through PowerShell CLI or with UI in the Enter ID. You can directly, of course, do that in there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, gotcha.
So either way, but as an administrator, you decide what are the APIs which are available for the end users, which can then create API-powered experiences. Like my events and my emails are the good examples in here. So my upcoming events with Graph or my recent emails with Graph as well. So those examples, by the way, are available within the video and then within the assets. So if somebody wants to build them. Now, there was also quite a few Microsoft 365 developer blog posts, custom encryption with customer-owned keys now generally available. I have to say this, as a Microsoft employee and a person who thinks or makes a lot of time on communications, this title is missing where and what. But its clarity is in here in the things. But it would be nice if the title would actually have the context. What is the title all about? So, but technically what we're doing is that the encryptions, this is something what we're invisible here and there, and it's getting more widely available across the Microsoft 365 and Azure. So you can bring your own keys available, so which are used for encryption. So that will make sure that anybody cannot access the stuff. You own your stuff and your content. So that's
but this is about encrypting the data you extract using Microsoft Graph Data Connect. So this
true.
Is not the data in M365 at large.
True.
This is for the extracting the data at scale.
Correct. But you can secure that as well with your own keys.
Correct.
Yes. But it's actually, the title is kind of missing the context.
And
custom owned key for what?
Yeah.
Good. Deprecation of entity-based context in Outlook add-ins. There was a small reaction on this one in the Twitter. I just saw Paul Balak, I think, called that out. So this is something which we introduced at some point for Outlook add-ins, but then that context, entity-based contextual Outlook add-ins are deprecated, and that's going to go away for the future. No longer investments within here. The timeline is actually pretty fast, if I remember correctly. Where was the timeline?
Q2 24.
Will be deprecated Q2 2024. Yeah, that's pretty fast actually, since it's already
deprecating
January.
doesn't mean remove.
That's true. That's true. That is. You are again correct on we need to focus a bit more on the communications, because this one actually says that it's deprecated. The deprecation means that it's no longer an area where we are investing, but it doesn't mean
it
end of life.
Yeah.
However, it
once retired,
retiring on them.
Yeah,
once
that
retired,
is a different thing altogether.
Correct. So
the retirement meaning it stops working.
Yes. A bit confused. Maybe we'll need to ping Sam on updating the blog post now that I was having this discussion, luckily recorded as well. I will ping Sam related on that one to provide some clarity with this one, because it is not clear what's actually happening here. What are we announcing? Is it deprecation or is it end of life? Now, best practices for designing Word, Excel, and PowerPoint add-ins. So this is a series which the Office add-ins people are providing. So basically once a month or quite often, they actually provide updates related on Office add-in capabilities and also learnings, what people are doing. So that's really, really cool. Not just new announcements, but also best practices and how people should be implementing things. So thank you, Skylar, for that one. Tony Balkan has also a series. He's representing the certification side of the add-ins and applications. So Microsoft 365 certification framework creates a more streamlined process for ISVs, and this is really around getting that certification done. And then as you are certified in AppSource, your application will be more preferred application because you've been double-checked, and then customers can trust your application, right?
Yes.
Good way of explaining that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say your application would be more preferred, but it will be basically it's an additional layer of checks showing that those additional set of checks that have been run on your app.
Yes, absolutely. Top 5 app source validation errors for Office add-ins. Elizabeth is having this monthly series as well. These are really good, related on so the common failures as people are putting their add-ins into the store and considerations related on that. This is how you should be then addressing those issues. So there's quite often the top 5, top 10 issues are exactly the same. So people are running into exactly the same policy violations, which they should be considering. So really, very good stuff. And then the last one from December is from Misa around write simpler, faster code with new Microsoft Graph Java SDK version 6, which is now available. Generated using Kyoto, which, by the way, we missed that one article, which is around using Kyoto also in the GitHub APIs. So that was actually an interesting announcement.
Isn't it on the?
We don't have it open in a tab, so it would.
Oh yeah, so we cannot mention it, of course. Sorry.
But yeah, GitHub also announced that they're using Kyoto as the automatic API SDK creation tooling against their APIs. So it's a really, really cool. So great job for the Kyoto team on making that happen as well. So really, really cool stuff. Now, on the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community blog, there was quite a few blog posts here as well. The SharePoint embedded overview and example scenarios. This is a duplicate from Voitano's entry. Actually, let's do that. I guess it's more fair to open up the Voitano's entry from AC. So really talking about the SharePoint embedded and what it actually means and what are the example scenarios and what you can actually do with that. It's basically an isolated container for storing files and assets, but it gives you interesting set of capabilities and options if you build your own solution. So you do not, for example, if your solution exposes upload a file, you don't need to worry about where the file is being stored. You can store the file within the customer tenant, and that's actually really, really cool scenario. So then the file and information never leaves the customer tenant location.
And I guess there's also like the first things ISVs would ask, okay, so who's going to pay for storage? Who is billed? Is it the ISV being billed or the customer being billed? So there are always, that kind of things that folks can ask. And I guess that we have answers for them available around that.
Yes, definitely. There's options and all of that on that as well. Now, the second blog post here is from Alex, automatically generate flow, workflow, and business rule documentation. That's actually really cool. So automation documentation is always good. So, and if we can automate the documentation of what we do, we will reduce a lot of resources and time. So basically running through automations and running Power Automate to actually generate automatic documentation. That's actually really cool.
That's cool.
This is really good because you need to have that documentation in place to understand what all of the different flows are doing within your environment for sure. Good. Another one from AC. I'm going to actually open up this one also in here from his own blog, because that's the original thing. SharePoint adding model retirement and other services unpacked. Good reminder again. We announced the SharePoint adding model retirement does not impact SharePoint framework, but adding model, which was introduced 2012, is now going to get retired and eventually has an end of life. So not just deprecated, but also retirement. So. And AC is basically walking through the different options and scenarios and why and how do you sign up, how do you do other stuff, how do you implement the new stuff without the adding model. So from ACS to Azure AD and all of that, Entra AD, from ACS to Entra AD, right?
Correct.
Then we have a new version of the CLI that came out in the last days of December.
Correct. New month, new release of CLI for Microsoft 365. The command line tool that allows you to manage Microsoft 365 tenants and SharePoint framework projects. And this time around, we introduced new commands for managing Entra ID. We have some new commands for working with the external connections, which allow you to ingest external content to Microsoft 365 so that you can use it with Microsoft Search, Microsoft Copilot, and so forth and so on. And then a bunch of improvements that we do every month, basically with the idea to give you a tool that works better, faster, more reliable, and with more options. So definitely recommend it. Check it out. If you use CLI for Microsoft 365, download the version 7.3 and give it a try.
Excellent. Then we had a blog post from Victor Villain. This is from the 21st of December. So kind of gathering a bit longer time period because we are back from the holiday break. We did announce retirement of Yo Teams. Technically, you can still use it, but there's no longer investments on the Yo Teams. So we're not pulling that away. Well, yeah, now within that point of view, but there's no longer support or work being done for it. So that's kind of the key difference for Yo Teams. We're not pulling it out from NPM, and that's not the intention, but it's basically aligning on the Teams Toolkit feature. The Yo Teams was the only way of building Teams applications at some point. And funny enough, this is magically Victor Villain's originally created solution. So it was originally even community created solution for making things happen. And of course, you could still do Teams application before the Teams Toolkit was just by having a manifest and pointing that to your solution. But Yo Teams made it easier. And then at some moment of a time, Teams Toolkit version 1 came along, and then that started evolving. And now it's actually pretty far and pretty mature. So it's time to kind of retire the Yo Teams as well. So, which is great, but more than 100,000 downloads within the for the usage. That gives us some sort of a scale of usage. So really awesome journey, and a lot of people who contributed on this journey. So thank you everybody for that one. Good. Now, Mahmoud Hassan had a post related on Microsoft Copilot Service Preview, first look admin experience demo. So this is basically a video which is then showcasing, what is it showcasing, Waldek?
Well, it's exactly as it says, Microsoft Copilot, right?
Yes, the administrative experiences of the Copilot. So how do we actually configure those connections and the Copilot for Service? Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Mahmoud, on that one. So really cool. We have another one from you as well, which is around end user experience for the Copilot service preview and a video experience on that one as well. And this is actually quite nice to have the video directly within here, not just going to the YouTube and cross-linking and things. So awesome stuff as well. So how can we build those custom Copilots and how we actually use it then from an end user perspective? So really cool. More and more investments on the Copilot and AI for sure from Microsoft side. Now, Marcus Miller had a blog post on demystifying Teams creation with resource-specific consent in Microsoft 365. What is RSC? What is resource-specific consent?
Basically, the idea is, right, that your app only has permissions to do the specific things it needs without the resources it get assigned to. So for example, imagine that you install a Teams app in a Teams team. Then you can set up your app to only have access to resources within that one team as opposed to all of the different teams. Right, so that is kind of like the whole premise of RSC, which means that your thing, whether that's an app or something else, only have access within the resources it's got directly access to, and nothing else.
Yep, that's actually really cool. So we don't have to grant higher level permissions. We can only request permissions to the minimal set of required assets. So
correct.
Just to recap on there. So really cool. Now, on the SPFX side, or from Julie, there was an SPFX command set dialogues without DOM manipulation using H2O React. This is actually really cool. So basically, Julie has a blog post related on how can we do these kind of panel, sidebar panels and dialogues and modal dialogues without, what are they, CSS hacks. So there's a ways of doing this.
Manipulating DOM,
manipulating DOM. So, which is actually really cool, super useful, and a classic scenario what people are doing within their extensibility with libraries or lists and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So thank you for that one. H2O is a really cool stuff as well. Michael Mendes has a blog post on using JavaScript and Cloud Flows to download files from SharePoint document library in Power Pages. That's actually interesting.
Power Pages with JavaScript. That's interesting. I didn't know you could embed JavaScript in there.
On Power Pages, yes, yeah. You definitely, you can get an access on CSS and all of the background things. It's actually surprisingly flexible in the end.
That's
but
really cool.
It's basically empower with the drag and drops and do things. But then, if needed, you can go behind the scenes. And
there's always the escape hatch.
Exactly. Well, I would say that this isn't the exception within the Power Pages, because again, on the other Power Platforms applications, you cannot. There's no, you cannot open up a Visual Studio Code and do modification. That is not possible. But with Power Pages, you actually can. You can do more sophisticated experiences as well. So,
well, because at the end of the day, maybe that's HTML, whereas a Power App is not HTML.
Correct. That is correct.
Well, I don't know if it is. I don't know what it is exactly, but I mean, it's
technically it's HTML. But if it's in browser, it's what else can it be than an HTML?
Flash, Silverlight,
sure. Silverlight.
Yes. Java.
What if it's a Silverlight?
WASM. There are many things that run in browser.
True. That's fair. Like Silverlight, you say?
Yes. I mean, just the other day I saw an image of somebody updating their Flash support. So I was like, okay.
Okay.
Apparently still a thing.
Macromedia. Yeah, apparently. Now, on the 365 Message Center show, there was a new episode. The latest episode is in December 18th. I think the guys will be back pretty soon with the latest episode starting from this year. Discovery feed in Teams, Copilot, and Viva Engage. And again, basically walking through all of the latest news within the Message Center for administrators. So what's coming up and the latest announcements. And there's also a video version of this available. April had a new video related on what's prompt catalog, on how you can build one. So that's actually really cool. So basically, how can we share prompts between the other people within the company? So which helps on understanding, that's how I can adjust the prompts, which is always smart. Build a community of prompt creators within your company and then learn from each other. So it's a really cool idea. Shane has a new video as well on Power Apps select multiple items in a gallery. So how can we implement that kind of a thing and experience? So that's really cool. AC had a the video related on the stuff what we actually mentioned already, which is benefits of SharePoint embedded overview with examples. And here we need to explicitly call this out. SharePoint with the capital P, Copilot with lower k. Please remember. And AC, you should know this. You've been on this for quite a long time. So, yikes. That's at least correct. So it's clearly a small typo. Things happen, so it's okay. And then the last video from the day, or article from the day, is from Paolo, had a new testing rate limit headers using Microsoft Dev Proxy. Can you do a quick recap? What is, again, the Microsoft Dev Proxy? Why would I care?
Dev Proxy is a tool that allows you to simulate the behaviors of APIs that you use in a cloud on your box, right? Because like imagine you use Microsoft Graph, right? You cannot force Graph to fail with an error so that you can see how your app is going to react to errors. But you want your app to be able to handle these errors that eventually will occur anyway. And whether that's Microsoft Graph or some other API, SaaS API, or even your own APIs that you've got in your company, you want to be able to simulate errors on them so that you can build robust apps that handle errors and don't just break, right? So that's exactly what you can do with Proxy. You can simulate all these behaviors and errors on any API out there, again, whether your own or in a cloud, and ensure that you build better apps.
Yep, makes perfect sense. Cool, that's it. That's all the videos and articles for today. So what's next?
What's next? It's a new year, new chances. We've been just talking about Dev Proxy. Surprise, surprise. We will have new version coming soon with a bunch of improvements, new features. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Yep.
As the month progresses towards the end of the month, we'll have another version of CLI for Microsoft 365, but there's still a few weeks out. We are finishing some of the work that we started already last year around new content on Learn for extending Copilot Microsoft 365, so that is coming soon too. Other than that, it's January. I'm curious where everybody has been, what they have been thinking about or not, and what's next.
Sure.
How about you?
Well, for this week, I think we will go GA with the bot-powered ACs, bot-powered Viva connection extensibility, which is really cool. We're working with Paolo PLRC. Paolo is one of the vendors working for us nowadays. So we're working on documentation videos and all of that stuff. So that's coming out this week, which is really, really cool. Unless there's any last-minute surprises, but again, it should be completely fine. Surprise, delayed. That has happened every now and then. That's part of the product cycle, finding something a bit late, but then you need to pull things. Most likely not going to happen this time. But yeah, we're back with the community calls where you will be presenting as well actively within upcoming weeks and months, actually, even, which is really, really cool.
Oh my God.
At least 2 community calls every single week, which is cool. A lot of other stuff as well. I think, this will be interesting to see where we are heading. We can clearly see, I think it's fair to say, from inside of Microsoft, AI is even more prominent and visible as the focus area on everything, which is as expected. So for sure. At the same time, we shouldn't be just forgetting about everything else. So let's, so be thoughtful about that one as well. AI, yes, absolutely 100%. But let's be thoughtful about the baseline services have to work as well. So, which is important.
Yes.
Cool. I guess that's it. That is the story for today. Thank you, Lindsay, one more time for joining. We'll be back within a week. As we now will be back within a weekly show. Please use hashtag PnP Weekly if you're in Twitter, X, whatever the service is nowadays called, or even in LinkedIn. LinkedIn hashtag PnP Weekly works as well. We are catching those from that side as well. So please let us know when you're writing and creating cool stuff, so we're able to cover that. But I think that's it. Thank you, Waldek.
That is it. Thank you, and see you next week.
Sounds good. Cheers.